One World Live. What's up, everybody? My name is DJ Anthony. I have a special guest today. We're talking about CrossFit. My friend Dan. Dan, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Awesome. Thanks for coming and making time on this segment of Wellness Week Live, the CrossFit segment. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, like and subscribe. Tell your mom, tell your dad, tell everybody. Okay. And we're just two friends having a conversation. We're not giving any medical advice or anything like that. Always consult with your healthcare professional. Okay, Dan, I had to have you on, as I mentioned, kind of off camera. You're into CrossFit. And it just hit me as like, wait a second, I got to talk to you, because CrossFit is something that's very prevalent in our culture nowadays, very popular. So let me just get right into it. I mean, what made you get into CrossFit and not, I don't know, badminton or swimming or triathlon? Like, why? What drew you to CrossFit?
Yeah, first of all, I think it's funny that you're like, oh, CrossFit's becoming really popular. I still don't feel like CrossFit's that popular. I still feel like people don't understand what CrossFit is. And it's a shame, right? It's a huge missed opportunity. But back to the question, how did I get into it? I've always been into some sort of fitness, but it was always unstructured, whether it was doing the Globo Gym thing, lifting weights, or doing running, or at one point I got into triathlon and I did that for a year. I was always searching. I was always trying to do something. And for me, my biggest issue was always either I start getting bored with whatever I'm doing because it's very monotonous,
right,
or life gets in the way. Like,
right.
I'd be super busy with work. And then thinking back on it now, I think it was easy to let life get in the way when you're starting to get bored with the workouts you're doing. And I didn't really recognize that back then. So how did I get into CrossFit? After all these years of doing all this very unstructured exercise, whatever it was, I came across a Facebook ad that said, hey, there's this CrossFit 6-week CrossFit challenge. Are you up for the challenge?
Like, what the hell's that?
Reach out and see if you qualify.
Right.
No, if you qualify, it was like just trying to draw people in. But
yeah.
Up until that point, of course, I'd heard about CrossFit, but I didn't know what CrossFit was.
Right.
I tried looking into it, and you see it's like, oh, it's functional fitness. Well, what's functional fitness?
Right.
People still aren't going to understand that. And then I would see pictures of what a CrossFit gym, or they call it a box, what it looks like. It's like, okay, there's a rig, there's like these weights and kettlebells and dumbbells. Where are all the other things? And it wasn't until I saw that challenge on Facebook that I was like, oh, it's a local CrossFit gym. It's a challenge, a 6-week challenge. I was bored with what I was doing. I was like, oh, let me see what this is about. So I followed the link. I put in my information. They reached out to me. I wound up making an appointment. I went there, sat down with one of the co-owners, and we talked about what CrossFit is, what the challenge was. And they did a really good job of how they set everything up. So the challenge was really, you come in, they take your measurements, your weight, your height, it's one of those smart scales. What's your body mass, all that other stuff, right? And then the very first day, we did a very simple workout. It was something like, I don't remember what the workout was, but it was, you have a 15-minute clock. And in those 15 minutes, there's these 3 movements. It might have been push-ups, box jumps, and something else, maybe a rower. And do as many rounds as you can in 15 minutes. And I did it. And I remember thinking, oh my God, that was the hardest 15 minutes of my life.
Right.
And I'd done a triathlon, and I was like, how does a 15-minute workout kill you?
Right.
So I kept going back, and I remember being pretty intimidated seeing what the normal class on the side are doing.
Yeah, right.
These newbies doing this 6-week challenge.
Yeah.
Super simple. I'm watching these guys do Olympic lifts, clean and jerks, snatches, all this other stuff. And even though I was in somewhat shape, I was a little bit intimidated, right?
You weren't in that type of shape, right?
Yeah. And because it's very different.
Right.
Anyway, fast forward at the end of the 6-week challenge, they took your body measurements again. And, in that time, they talk about nutrition. They talk about this, they talk about that. But all my metrics improved to some degree on the scale. But the thing that sold me on it was we did the same exact workout that we did on the first night. And they were like, all right, let's see how much you improve in 6 weeks. And I remember thinking, oh my God, that first time I was dying. Like,
Right.
I think I did something like 9 rounds plus whatever many reps. And I was like, I hope I get 10,
Yeah.
maybe 11. And I did the workout and I did over 14 rounds. So I
Wow.
improved by
Oh,
50%.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
at that point, I was hooked. I'm like, this
Right.
works. This is
Right.
real. In
Yeah.
6 weeks to improve my baseline by 50%,
Yeah.
it blew my mind.
Yeah, it's more measurable than just saying like I'm going to the gym and I think I got a little bit bigger, or you can quantify this.
Yeah.
By the way, are you
Look,
competing in a passive way against other people's numbers too, or no?
some people do. I certainly do. I'm a
Okay,
competitive person. And
right,
if I'm doing like now at my gym, my whole thing is I always want to be in the top 5 in the score, right? So
right.
I want to compete, especially against the younger people, because
The old
if
man
I'm
beat you.
doing well, especially against some of the younger folks, well, that means I'm doing something right, you
You're
know?
right, 100%.
But back then for that 6-week challenge, it was
Yeah, you're
just,
just trying to
you're
survive.
doing it for yourself.
Right,
So I was hooked. I signed up the very next day to keep doing CrossFit.
right,
And,
right, right.
I haven't stopped since. It's the
Yeah,
only thing
awesome.
I've done nonstop.
Wow. Yeah, that's why I wanted to have you on, because I kind of, followed your journey, just from you posting and stuff like that. And, I'm into athletics too and whatnot. I don't do CrossFit, but yeah, anything that gets you up and moving, I'm always interested in what other people are doing too. And I also think it's a great thing. I'm a big proponent of, like, you're a dad, your kids, no matter how old they are, doesn't matter if they're 5 or 50, like, they're watching you, like, oh, dad takes care of
Mhm.
himself, dad's walking or exercise. Like, I know I was always impressed when my old man would do that. I'm like, oh, dad's going cycling today, I can remember that, and that
Me
kind of
too.
motivated me without him telling me. And I'm sure your kids are looking at you like, oh, okay, they're not maybe saying anything, but it's here, it's good
Mhm.
habits. So let me ask you,
Mhm.
does CrossFit have levels like karate, or is it just like,
No,
like
not in that sense. I mean,
yeah,
so no, the short answer is no. The longer answer is it's like anything else. You start off a beginner, then you might be considered an intermediate, and then
right.
there's like the elite kind of thing, right? But there's no levels, official levels
Right.
to CrossFit.
Right. And can anyone do CrossFit? When I say anyone, obviously I know men and women do, but like, let's just say somebody, was missing a limb or something, God forbid, like, or they're maybe legally blind or something. Like, is there, generally speaking, I'm not talking about your
Mhm.
particular place, but is CrossFit kind of a place that people can, or do
Yeah,
like,
yeah. So the answer is yes,
yeah.
absolutely. If you look at the professional sports side of CrossFit, they have in the CrossFit games, like the Super Bowl of CrossFit, they've got an adaptive division, upper
Oh, okay,
extremity,
cool.
lower extremity. You've got folks with neuro issues.
Right,
And
right,
I
right.
just read an article about a mom that's blind that does CrossFit. Like, it's
Wow. Yeah.
amazing what these
Right, right,
people, you know, you get up in the morning and you complain about, oh, I'm tired, I'm sleepy, I'm this, I
right.
don't want to work out. These people, what they're able to do,
Right.
they're missing an arm and they're doing Olympic lifts with one arm.
I'm,
I could barely do it with 2 arms, and these people, what they can do with 1 arm, right?
right.
So anybody can do it.
Right.
You don't have to go into it already an athlete.
Right.
You can be just getting off the couch, or you can come in from another sport, or a lot of people now in professional sports do, whether it's CrossFit or some version of functional fitness to support their specific sport. They do
Right.
CrossFit as a sort of a auxiliary type of exercise to help reinforce their
Ah,
fitness.
right, right. Like a cross training of sorts.
Yeah,
But so,
absolutely.
and you kind of touched on my next question, which you kind of already answered it. But do you have to be in shape to start?
Yeah.
Can you be like, look, I'm 400 pounds, I'm
Mhm.
98% body fat. I
Yeah,
mean, so there's a spot for people.
absolutely. Look, something as simple as squatting below parallel, you'd be shocked how much of your average everyday person can't squat below parallel.
Right,
So in what you're describing, that person isn't even coming close to getting the parallel.
right,
And that's fine. You go in there, you're not going to expect somebody in that condition to do a pull-up,
right,
right? So you can scale
right,
everything.
right,
So if you can't do a pull-up, there's like 3 different variations for how you can achieve the same stimulus in that exercise
right,
without doing that exact exercise until
right.
you build up for your ability to do it as prescribed.
Right. And I think, tell me what you think here. I think some people might say, well, but Dan, I'm intimidated. I go in. My retort to that would be, yeah, but that's where the support is too. You know, those people in the CrossFit, they're not there to hurt you or shame you. I'm assuming, right? It's a brother and sisterhood. They're there to help you, not to poo-poo you. And right.
Yeah, so the intimidation factor is real. And I was intimidated and I walked into the gym in decent shape, right? So I totally understand how somebody can walk into a CrossFit gym, see what these people are doing and be like, I can't do any of that. You want me to do what they just did?
Right.
So it can be very intimidating. And it just comes down to what you said. It's a community. It's a culture. I've been in Globo gyms. I've done triathlons. I've done running clubs. I've done a bunch of different things. And the community, the CrossFit community, is something about a step above than anything I've ever seen in terms of the inclusivity of it, the support. People, when I first started, how they kind of brought me in and helped me and cheered me on and encouraged me. If you can get over that initial hesitation and that initial intimidation, that's the biggest hurdle for somebody, is just come in and don't be intimidated, because you'll quickly see that everybody's going to rally around you and support you and help you get through it. And then you just hit the ground running and you're just working your way through it.
Right. Or people can probably just come in to their local CrossFit and just observe. They don't have to do anything. Just watch and then make their choice from there, possibly too. I doubt they're going to make it.
Honestly, I think if they just walk in there to watch, a lot of them will turn around and be like, I can't do that.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. So they should try something. Right.
Because if you see somebody, you know, maybe what you do is you have them come in and there's a foundations class, like an intro class, and they're doing pretty simple things. Maybe that, right?
Right. Yeah.
But to just walk into a normal class, depending on what's programmed, and they see something like Fran, pretty simple workout, you know, it's pull-ups and thrusters, and they see people move the way some people can move doing that.
It'd be intimidating.
I can't do that. I'm out.
Yeah. Right. Good point. Yeah. Good point. So let me ask you this now, going into, so correct me if I'm wrong, but did you start to instruct recently? Is that what I saw?
Yeah. So I'd always wanted to get my level 1 certification. And I wound up getting it about a little over a year ago. And I wanted to get it just because I wanted to get a better understanding of the methodology, the foundational methodology. And you can get the free material online and read it and learn it.
Right.
But I always wanted to get certified because in the back of my mind, I always knew that I had hope that one day I could coach. And then it just so happened that I had an opportunity at my CrossFit gym where the owner, the head coach, was like, oh, if you want to go into this training program to coach, as a coach's training program, onboarding, or I forget what he calls it. It could take anywhere from 4 months to 6 months to even up to a year. But you go through this program and you don't graduate to coach until he feels you're ready to do it.
Okay, that's cool.
So I went through that training program and then I graduated at the end of the summer, and now I'm coaching. Yeah, I love it.
That's awesome. That must be cool because, look, we get out of high school, you get out of college, and, after that, there's not too many, accomplishments, so to speak, professionally that we achieve because you're just busy with life. That must have been kind of cool for you too. It's like, oh, wow, you got this accomplishment, this degree of sorts, which is like, I'm sure you felt reinvigorated and like you're in high school or college again, like, wow, I got this, I did this, and a lot of people don't have that in their lives. I think once we get out of, like I said, high school, college, all of our accomplishments are done. And so that was kind of cool. I'm sure you felt like, whoa, like a breath of fresh air. Like you're doing this. This is something that you work towards and you got this certification. Let me ask you, is there CrossFit for kids? Like, can children?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's specific, it's a separate certification for kids. So you would need to be certified in CrossFit Kids specifically, but yeah, they've got it for kids as well. So not every CrossFit gym is going to offer that.
Right.
But it's out there for sure.
Right. Yeah. And I think it's so great, and kind of rewind a little bit to the first question in our interview here is that, saying that I thought, or I see that CrossFit is, something that's new and kind of whatever, becoming popular. And I guess that's relative, right? Yeah. Is it going to be as popular as baseball? Probably not. I mean, but that's okay. It doesn't mean it's not a good thing. But I was going to say is that I think it's another great option though for people, because I'm sure you know this. I mean, you look and obesity, talk about epidemics. I mean, obesity is no joke. And I think I'm going to go on a limb and say most Americans are obese, overweight, obese. And so getting up, moving is important. And that's the other thing I want to segue to is, so diet. I mean, let's just break it down. So you wake up in the morning. What does Dan typically have for a breakfast? Or what would you typically eat?
Sure. It varies, but it's normally going to be protein heavy, of course. So I'll do sometimes I'll do like a homemade burrito. I'll do 3 eggs and I'll chop up some steak or maybe some sausage or something, some cheese, and just grill that up and put it in a burrito. And I'll have that with, with coffee, right?
Now, are you a guy that you said eggs? I love eggs too. Are you a egg white only dude, or
you're missing so much nutrients if you leave out the yellow?
I agree with you 100%, but it makes me laugh when people are like egg whites only. I'm like, have you read the literature?
The misinformation out there on nutrition in general is it breaks my heart when I hear people talk about something as simple as salt. Oh, salt is bad.
Yes, right.
Salt is critical. And if you're if you're really doing simple table salt, simple table salt's bad.
Right.
But not like sea salt and not like Redmond salt.
Right.
You need, especially if you're working out hard, you need to replenish salt. Your body needs salt.
Right.
It needs electrolytes. It needs potassium. It needs all these things. So something as simple as salt, and I hear people are like, "Can you believe this electrolyte mix? It's got sugar and salt in it." Like, yeah, you need that. Your body needs that if you're an athlete.
Cholesterol is the same thing, right? People poo-poo cholesterol. Like your body is the foundation for every cell in your body. Is cholesterol. Yes. But people are just what do you think about? I'm kind of against this, but so what do you think about white bread? Do you eat it?
So do I eat it?
Generally speaking,
it's not often.
Right.
So here's my thing, and we're talking about nutrition at the moment. I feel like I've had a lot of conversations with a lot of people, because a lot of my friends have had conversations with me about whether it's nutrition or about fitness and whatnot, because I do a lot of podcasts and I, watch a lot of videos on it because I'm really into this stuff. So in general with nutrition, so, when you say white bread or whatnot, generally anything processed, you should avoid.
Dude, I say that. I say God made over man made, period. If it's in a box or whatever, right? 100%.
It's not the end of the world if you're going to have a piece of bread here and there.
Right.
It's like people want to talk, well, what do you think? Like they ask me, what do you think about the keto diet? What do you think about paleo? What do you think about this? What about the meat diet and all this stuff? And it's like, at the end of the day, there is no singular diet that's going to solve everyone's problem, because everyone's different. Right? There's outliers in anything.
Right.
So the thing that's going to help the broadest amount of people is simple. Right. Minimize your processed foods and drinks, soda, iced tea, all that crap. So do I have pizza? Of course I have pizza. Do I have it all the time? No, I don't. Right. So from a nutrition standpoint, minimize your processed foods. Make sure you're getting enough protein. Start there, and you'd be amazed how much better you might feel.
100%. Alcohol too. It's right. One thing to you have a toast, fine. But you got people, we all know people who like every day or every other day, I got to have my 3 or 4 beers or 4 glasses of what's wow, man, this is, not, type 2 diabetes doesn't have to happen, but man, is it just rampant.
And it's only getting worse.
I just did a show 2 days ago about, I just did a show 2 days ago about the proliferation of these kidney dialysis centers popping up everywhere. I'm like, I don't remember these 10 years ago. It's because of this, American diet. So now what would a typical lunch be for you, like generally speaking?
Yeah. So during the week, what I tend to do with lunch is I make like a power smoothie. So what that'll be is like, I'll do spinach, kale, Swiss chard in a blender. I add berries, so strawberries, raspberries, blueberries, blackberries. I'll do almond milk, and then I'll throw in casein protein. So casein over whey, because I didn't just finish a workout, it's a slow digesting protein. So you want a slow digesting protein if you're not just working out, so that it slowly gets absorbed into your body, right? So I'll mix that all up, and I make a big blender full of it. So I have this huge, it'll be something similar to like this, about that kind of volume of it. And I'll just
you doing that in one shot, or you're sipping it over a couple hours or something? I don't know.
No, I mean it's done in about 20 minutes. 15, 20 minutes.
Right. So now, what would a dinner be like? Now, I'm assuming it's going to be everyone. Like, I'm a single guy. I do what the hell I want. But you're married with kids. I mean, you probably got a little politics going on there. You can't just like bum rush everybody. I'm like, no, this is what we're doing. So like, but generally speaking, what would you?
Yeah. So I used to be much better than more recently. It's been a little bit more hectic, but I'm starting to get back more dialed into things. Like, I used to weigh my food all the time, and I need to get better at that. But so dinner, it's always going to be some sort of protein. I'm making sure I'm getting 8 to 10 ounces of protein. I need to get better back to getting enough vegetables, whether it's broccoli, asparagus, things of that nature. Try to keep it, vary it and whatnot. I might have a carb, but it's usually going to be healthier carb type of thing. And then, once in a while you have your cheat meals and whatnot. But for me, it's all about try to minimize the processed refined foods. Make sure I'm getting, for me, anywhere at minimum 170 to 180 grams of protein. Make sure I'm getting enough fat, because people think, oh my God, fat's the worst thing in the world.
That's another one. I know. Yep.
No, your body needs fat. So
it's the type of fat, though, right.
But it's exactly. It's the type of fat that you're doing. You need the right kind of fat.
Right.
Just like cholesterol, you need the right kind of cholesterol, right?
Right.
And the egg is maybe the perfect food. People don't realize that.
I preach that every day. But yeah, so and well, don't even get me started on this. But yeah, I mean the egg. And again, always people consult with your own healthcare professionals. But in my opinion, most doctors, they'll be like, yeah, like they'll just be like, eggs bad, stay away from it. And I always say to myself, when they do these studies against eggs, I'm like, well, how did they do a double-blind placebo study where people just ate eggs only and no other food versus like I think sometimes these studies that say eggs are bad, they're a correlating study. They're not isolating that the person just ate eggs. They didn't want to mention the person smokes too, but never mind that. They're only looking at the fact that the person ate the egg. It's like, and no one's saying eat 90 eggs a day, but yeah. So don't get me started on the eggs. Right, so let me ask you
a question. Who funded the study?
Oh, duh. We all know. Right. Exactly. It's America, baby.
You gotta ask the question, who funded the study? And is it a peer-reviewed study?
Right. If it's a big pharmaceutical company that's selling something to lower cholesterol from meds and they're funding the egg study, duh, they're going to be like, eggs are bad, 100%. But most people don't even know that, right, to your point, and don't care. But it's important to know it because it affects our bodies, which is
the industry makes it hard for you to know.
Oh,
they make it hard. They make you work to know
the
stuff that you and I are talking about. And most people just aren't as interested in it. And that's fair, right? We're all busy. We all have limited time for our attention. And some people don't want to take the time to learn that stuff.
Right.
And it's not easy to come across to better understand it, unfortunately.
Right. But that's why I'm glad you're doing what you're doing. And you say you do podcasts. That's awesome. Because you know what, though? We do have the power to affect our little corner of the world. And so I think it's important because people don't care until they get a diagnosis from the doctor saying, hey, you got this problem. What? How'd that happen? 30 years of eating crap might have been the reason why your pancreas is failing or your kidneys or whatever. So let me ask you this, like I know you said, throughout your life, you've been good with exercise and things like that. And my argument to anybody is, don't you want to feel better? Like, Dan, don't you feel great eating right and exercising? Yes or no? I mean, it sounds like a stupid question, but
no.
I think
I'm not the best person to ask that question because I'm always tired and I'm always sore because I'm always overdoing it.
Well,
I'm not more.
Damn it.
So most people do, right?
Yeah.
Lots of people at my gym, most people feel pretty good.
Right.
I'm old. I'm 50 now. So just getting out of bed hurts.
Yeah. Wow.
And then on top of that, I mean, I may go in the morning and do my CrossFit workout for an hour. And then maybe in the middle of the day for my lunch hour, I go out and run, 10K. And then maybe that night I might do some Olympic lifting, right?
Okay.
I'm doing more than I probably should be at my age.
Right.
So
but
I'm constantly tired.
I mean, but you're 50, but dude, you look like you're 20. I get the reason why you're tired because of your physical, exertion, but you're eating right. I'm sure your blood work is when you get your physical. I'm sure someone not knowing who you are would probably say that looks like the blood work of a 20-year-old man, so maybe you don't feel good because you're pushing yourself, but you look great. Really, I mean, not to kiss up, but that's my point to people is I think people think when they're told to work out or quote unquote eat right, like that's some kind of pejorative term. It's like, no, don't you want to feel better? It's not even about, you're not necessarily even looking that great, but don't you want to feel better? Like,
oh, I love that you just said that, man, because so many people focus on, don't you want to look better?
Right.
It's like, don't you want to look better with your shirt off and feel better about yourself? How about, I used to worry about what I looked like, and I was never in great looking shape, right? Now that I do what I do, and because I want to be the best version of myself doing it, I don't even think about what do I look like in the mirror. I don't eat because of, how do I look when I took my shirt off? I'm eating to fuel a workout. I'm eating to hit goals that I have for, I have a 5-year goal in mind for things I want to hit fitness wise. Right. So, and the conversation needs to stop being, how do you look? And it needs to be exactly what you said. How do you feel?
Yeah.
Do you feel good when you get up? Do you feel good when you go to pick something up off the floor? Do you feel good when you're playing with your kids or with your friends or whatever it is? The conversation needs to be about how you feel. Because as soon as you stop worrying about how you look, your motivations change, your behavior starts changing for the positive.
Right. And and to your point, and you're able to do all these things and physically exert yourself because you're eating right, because you feel good, and then gives you that power and energy to push yourself. All right, now you're pushing yourself too hard. That's on you. But because you're living the right quality lifestyle, you're able to do those things. Most people your age, my age, they're lucky they can walk around the block. Okay. So, I mean, really, but that's a motivation to see, like, hey, if Dan can do it or other people can do it, none of us are superheroes. We're all average people doing above average things, but anyone can do it, whatever that is. If you want to do CrossFit or you want to, I don't know, go swimming or whatever. But I think food is medicine. What we consume can hurt us or help us. So what does your family think of this journey you're on? Like, do they think, oh boy, here he comes? Or are they like, yeah, go? Or are they just kind of in the middle a little bit? Or like, does anyone in your family do CrossFit? Or are they just like, here he comes, Mr. Broccoli?
Yeah, my wife thinks I'm insane.
All right.
She and my friends tease me a lot too. Like they'll see.
I've made memes of you, by the way.
I remember that. That was funny. You had some good ones. They were well done.
Thank you.
But, yeah, like I'm the psycho that I'll go out for a run, and sometimes I'll put on a tactical vest and I'm out there running to the point where one of my neighbors thought I worked for the FBI.
That's funny.
Which was the funniest thing I ever heard. But my wife thinks I'm insane. She doesn't get it. She's like, I don't know why you put yourself through all that, which is fine. My kids love it, but then they're like, oh, you're going out again? You're like, you're going to CrossFit, or you're going in the garage like again? Like,
come on, Rocky.
So, but if I give them the option to come with me to the CrossFit gym, they can't wait to go. And
right.
They're little.
Like I said before, you're setting them up for a healthy lifestyle. Also, I think you probably would concur with me. I would also say exercise and nutrition, if it does anything, is really help your mind be healthier too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we all know there's countless studies saying that exercise releases endorphins and makes you happier. Helps your. I know when I work out, I mentally feel stronger, healthier from stress or anxiety or whatever those things. So that, if anything, CrossFit is probably another plus on that too. Sure. So we're running down on time, but real quick, I just got to ask you this because this could be another show in and of itself. But okay, so intermittent fasting, do you do any of that, or is it something? Because you hear all these articles saying that depending on what degree, but
Yeah. So I'm a big believer in intermittent fasting, but this is another one of those things that I think it's poorly communicated and people don't truly understand about it. And intermittent fasting tends to be an umbrella term, and it can mean different things, right? There's intermittent fasting, and then there's time restricted eating. Which one are you asking? Right.
Right.
Because that's important.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay.
It's all about what are you trying to do. It's everything we're talking about right now. It's a package deal. There is no single thing that you do. So, you bring up intermittent fasting. That's just another tool in the toolbox to address health and fitness.
Right.
So I think intermittent fasting is great. And why is it great? Well, there's a couple of reasons with whether you're doing time restricted eating where you're eating within a specific window, maybe it's an 8-hour window or a 6-hour window, or whether you're doing true fasting where it's a 24-hour fast or a 48-hour fast or even 5-day fast, right? You're getting different benefits. The first and foremost is that you're limiting your body working to digest food. And when you do that, you're creating less inflammation in the body. And the single biggest enemy of the body is inflammation. And that's where the refined carbohydrates come in and alcohol and all those other things. You want to lower all-cause mortality by 40%, 50%, 60%. Do everything you can to minimize inflammation in the body. And that goes as far as dementia too. It affects the brain.
Yeah.
So intermittent fasting helps with that. It
Okay.
helps a lot with that. And the other good thing with that it helps is autophagy. So if you've got bad cells or damaged cells, when you fast, especially if you do a longer fast, a 3 to 5 day fast, and you shouldn't be doing that all the time. Maybe you do it quarterly. What that'll do is now your healthy cells will eat your damaged cells. And if you don't have damaged cells, guess what? They can't turn malignant.
Right. Yeah.
And that's a big deal, right?
Yeah.
So if you look at cancer patients, they tell them go on the keto diet, look at time restricted eating, look at intermittent fasting, because these are all things that bring down inflammation, because inflammation is the single biggest problem to health.
Yeah, I agree.
So it all starts there.
Yeah, and you're right about that. And a while back, I said to myself, and knock on wood, I don't have any health issues, but I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start eating like I have heart disease or I have cancer. I'm going to start eating like that, because that would be the healthy lifestyle, your Mediterranean diet, right? Watch inflammation, get off the processed, et cetera, et cetera. But anyways, yeah, dude, time is up. I want to respect your time. Is there anything else, Dan, you wanted to add before we close this segment of Wellness Week?
No, the only thing I would add is, I'm not one of those people that say CrossFit is the only way.
Right.
When people say, what's the best exercise? It's the one that you're going to keep doing. It's as simple as that. For me, it's CrossFit. And then I'll do other things on the side because it's fun to do. Right. But just find something. Find something that gets you off the couch and gets you moving, something that will make you start thinking about nutrition differently so that it fuels whatever you decide to do. And that's the best thing you could do for yourself. That's about it.
Sage advice. Thank you, Dan, for making time on Wellness Week Live. You're awesome.
I appreciate it.
Awesome. Hey, everyone. Thank you. Check back in. We got another great bunch of shows coming up this week, and I'm going to sign us out.